the session so that everybody could watch it after. Thank you and welcome to our next in a series of Nepa Gives trainings, which is specifically about telling your story. I'm joined with Dana Hunter from our team. And as you can see, I'm not Maggie Martinelli. My name is Vivian Williams, and I'm the Community Initiatives Coordinator and your contact along with Dana for Nepa Gives. I'm just going to share my screen here. So you give me 1 minute. Okay, well, as I said, welcome. This is telling your story, which is more focused on telling the story of your organization with a little bit of some social media tips thrown in there. Again, we're not the experts. At the end, you'll see some credits if you would. And they're all the resources where I found this presentation and the information I'm sharing with you. So a quick overview of what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about why it's important to story tell and tell your mission in a creative way, how to find your story, what kind of story you want to tell to the audience and to your donors, then how do you develop that story? Some best practices found, like I said, through some of my researching and looking up other giving days and even other organizations that do given days such as GiveGab. Then connecting your story. So it's always important to share it out, especially in the virtual world we find ourselves in now. And then some key takeaways as well. So first, as we talked, why storytelling? Storytelling is a great way to build a connection with donors and engage old and new. So to update them with your newest adventures or newest projects that you might be doing. It also motivates donors to give and to give more. So maybe you're doing something that you didn't communicate with donors per se, and that you just took for granted that they knew. Also bringing facts and services to life. So it also puts a face and an action to some of this that you're doing. And I apologize for some of the background noise in my ears, as most of you probably are with me with trying to navigate school and work in the same place. It also empowers supporters to be part of the story. So it's almost like an interactiveness that the donor can actually utilize it itself and go through the story as they see fit. Developing your story ideas. So some things just to keep in mind when you might be brainstorming yourself or brainstorming with your Nepa Gives identified team or some volunteers is that this is larger than just your individual campaign story. So this story that you're developing should be bigger than just what you want to get out of Nepa Gives in raising your campaign money or supplementing a past fundraiser with Nepa Gives. When your donors give, they become part of the story. So they want to become a part of a story and not necessarily a transactional piece of your organization, in that they take your gift, you say thank you, and you move on. Be clear on your messaging goal. So we'll go through it after about some different developing your stories and finding them. But be clear, have a theme per se, if you would. And then your story is not just words on a page. It's a collage of words, of images, the design of it, how the flow makes it visual for your viewers to look at. So some of the stories that we had mentioned here, to reach supporters and ignite action, nonprofits need to prioritize storytelling, so you can engage them. And you'll know your donors and those that volunteer with you and those that support your organization to know what type of story. So, a founding story, maybe sharing an interesting or inspiring story and how you started. I know there's a multitude of organizations that were started because of an incident in our community, or the pandemic, or what you have, that something really resonated with the founder. Maybe focus on that. A focus story, so a core challenge your organization faces, whether it be, Keystone Mission faces homelessness, and what are they doing specifically to tackle that? Maybe you're tackling COVID right now with COVID supports. You're trying to support the children that you are virtually educating at this moment. People story. So clients, volunteers, staff, and board, give supporters an opportunity to personally connect with them. And one of the best practices in a later slide, we'll talk about also how let these people tell their story. So you never want to, or you most likely would not want to have someone come in, make their story look glamorous or put it together in an article form. The genuineness of these storytellings of the people, of why they commit to you, why they work with you, or why they donate, will resonate with people. And then future stories, what your work will lead to, and what your goal is. So maybe you have a goal of getting into a new building, or your goal is to expand the current work you're doing into another location or another county. Some examples, and these are specific to GiveGab, and you'll see here, I know some of it's blurry, but the purpose of this is to show you what it would look like within your profile page. So this is a people story. It's focused on Maria's story within Logan's Pups. So they're trying to make the viewer and the donor really resonate as Maria to make them donate. And then this one takes that same exact organization, but makes it a focus story. So they're focused on connecting specific information together. They're specifically wanting to change lives and find senior dogs a loving home. So they're very direct. You see the picture connects to it, that it's a senior dog, they found their home. So in my research, this is one thing that I did find interesting. And then after looking at it and even watching other Pixar movies, a couple case studies have been completed on this about, from Finding Nemo to Finding You. So how can you get your general volunteer supporters to be volunteers? How can you turn your donors into repeat donors? How can you create an engaging, motivating story to gain these results? The reason why this goes towards Pixar is because, as they say, there's a multitude of genres that love Finding Nemo. So while you're trying to answer a multitude of questions or trying to pull in a multitude of people for different reasons, you can do it with one story, because at the end of the day, this one story, Finding Nemo, I still love as an adult, my kids love, it's intergenerational. So how they do that is, you'll see up top, and I'm not going to read down. I know we all know the story of Nemo, but when you look at it this way as telling the story, the bold highlights are what each portion of the story starts with. Once upon a time there was, and then every day, then one day. Because of that, and then another because of that. You don't have to have both, but if you have a large enough story, and then until finally. So you'll see how they lined that up here with how the story goes. So this was one of the examples that GiveGab gave. And in my credits in the back, you'll see there is a link to their telling your story template that has this. So I'll just let you read it. It's a very generic after school program started by a group of motivated teachers and dedicated volunteers. Very mission oriented, tells your story of what you do and what we all in the field would tell people about it. This is necessarily that same story, those same components put into a Pixar pitch type. And again, I'm going to leave this up here for a minute so you all can read and see that. And the slides will be available that you can read afterwards. Along with this comes right out of the template of tools that GiveGab offers. And this is blurry. I tried putting it up a little bit. It comes right from a profile that they utilized that Pixar pitch, created their story about the dog, and put it right in the story of their profile, as you can see. They highlighted the words, so it was very poignant of where they wanted your eyes to go at each time. So if you were, just skimming it or just, scanning it per se, you'd know what the important parts are to focus on. Now, let's say the power of donation tiers here. We talked about this when we built our profiles, but there's a multitude of donors who are going to come to your page, some that are new, some that may have learned about NEPA Gives in a general search for a cause and want to learn more about yours. Some, as you'll push your current donors, your board members, and they already know your story. Though the power of the donation tier really lets you tell a quick and compelling story through customizing your tiers. And you'll see here, I'll let you see here for 1 minute, the different levels, and they actually attached a reason for each of those dollars. The other thing with this too is that some donors that know your organization and are planning their donation on NEPA Gives so that they can hopefully help you win an incentive and have strategized their donation. Maybe in their mind, they thought they were going to give $40, but they log onto your page and they see, oh, I could just click the button 50. And you know what? It goes to new decor for one delivery room. Sometimes it really streamlines how the donor then gives $10 more than they thought they would. Here are some storytelling tips that I referred to in the beginning when you were discovering what type of story you want to tell for your organization. With the top one being, let people tell their own stories. Authenticity is always the greatest avenue, I think. When telling how people have experienced your services, how you engage with them in the community, how you've worked through COVID per se. Share stories that connect to people as well. An organization was able to really connect with the project they were working on for this particular story that it came from. They were working on helping a community dig a well for clean water, and they highlighted it all throughout. And then when the project was completed, they had the end results of it. So people connect that way. Create stories to inspire. So, they always say social media, if you inspire people, they will then become your mouthpieces. And then lastly, compel people to act. So tell them what you are currently working through. And the one example that they gave was, missing and exploited children, in the respect of you tell the story and it calls you to action. It calls you to donate to help the cause, to support, the finding of missing children. And it really invigorates people not only to support you, but also to share it because it's inspired them, if you would, and you'll get more social media likes. Now we come to connecting your story. And I know some of you on this call probably are more familiar with Instagram and social media than I am per se. So if you have any tips as well that you would like, feel free to drop them in the chat or the Q&A, as that's what we're here for, is to share some best practices. So these come from a Give Gab blog that I also have at the end, but follow others to build your network. Remember that you have board members and donors and volunteers friends. So start following others from your profile that could potentially then follow you or share your posts. And again, with socializing as well, you could have the ability to, share, retweet each other's posts. So it then goes into another category and shared with another segmented of people. Find powerful images. These were powerful within the case study that they were talking about. It puts a face to Pencils for Promise. It shows the 12-year-old who is actually working on this project. These necessarily don't have creative hashtags, but I think the hashtag is very common that we all know to create fun hashtags. They do say that 3 hashtags are usually the most effective. There are posts that have 20 and 30 hashtags, and then create a scheduling for posting. As we get closer to NEPA Gives and the excitement builds, and you get lost in your scheduling of them. If you schedule your posts, it's the least of your problems and you don't have to worry about it. Along with scheduling the post, connect your Instagram to your Facebook account. So you're getting double the impact, if you would. So if you post on Instagram, you post on Facebook. And then also host an activity. And some of the activities that I found through other given days was a photo contest. So launch a photo contest, asking your followers to share a photo that reminds them of your organization with a brief description of why. That starts generating some buzz around your organization. And again, creates that really authentic personal view. Tag a friend campaign. Create a post asking supporters to tag a friend in the comment so you can connect to the larger network. And these are things that small businesses do. I'm sure we've all seen on Facebook, share and like my post. That goes in line to what they're telling you or suggesting you should do, especially since we are all virtual still. And then lastly, have fun. As much fun as you can have telling your story. Make it, again, authentic was the word that just weaved through all the resources that I had found. Next, connecting your story tips continue. Here's other pointers. And again, I'm sure with some of you that work in marketing, create a regular social presence. So again, maybe schedule some posts so they come out every week. So you're not necessarily doing one every 2 weeks, every month, every 6 weeks. You want to be consistent. One thing that I saw here was that not every post needs to be an ask. So you don't have to promote NEPA Gives with every single post you create. Maybe every other post. This is so that people don't think, well, they're only posting because they want my money or they want my support. Keep your styles and branding consistent in all your communications. So when people are scrolling through it, they see a color that like the colors behind me, when I look through my post, it's Nepa Gives, and that that's the color scheme of Nepa Gives, the logo, and it's really identifiable. Increased engagement with photos, videos, and other graphics. I know, and you could also think of your own personal experiences, those posts that have captivating pictures, even if they have long text with them, you're really tuned into that picture. And as you're reading that post, you're thinking about that picture. And again, posts with photos always receive more likes, and will be shared more often, if you would. So I have some examples here of, telling your nonprofit story with images. So this one, I think we're all familiar with, offering a fresh perspective. So this is one that is remnant of the deep sea oil drilling, if you would, that we're all familiar with, in the Dawn soap commercial. I always think of that they're washing off the bird in the sink, and, explaining why deep oil drilling should not happen. They offered a new perspective. This was actually some impressions of the oil of the duck. Reveal a conflict, if you would. And conflict is such, a word that I probably wouldn't use in nonprofit world, but what it's getting at is reveal the goal or the problem, if you would, that you're resolving. And as you can see, they put together pictures and navigated through the conflict of this young boy getting the services he so desperately needed in fixing his cleft palate. Create context. So you want to, the last picture, as you see here, shows, the completedness of what project you're supporting. But it's really telling you to show the context and how it was created, and what it goes towards, and how many people came out to support it, if you would. This one resonates probably the most. We always want to, again, the authenticity, we always want to show people the end result, but people really want you to pull back the curtain and show them the hard work that goes into much of what you do. So here the AmeriCorps Vistas put together, a post with multiple pictures, if you would, and really showcased working in the field of what they're doing and what your dollars are supporting. Get personal. Again, tell the story of and show the faces if you could, and if it correlates with your values or your ability to in each of your nonprofits. Show the impact of who you are actually servicing here. And then being consistent. So, I remember UNICEF from when I was a child. So, UNICEF consistently had a campaign here that shared all these pictures, that had a story with each of these pictures, that was posted on a regular basis. And then it culminated with a post such as this, showing all that they did and putting it in one place. So a couple more examples here are actually videos. So those were pictures of a picture, if you would, of a storytelling. These here are an Instagram post that had a video with it. And this example is of a staff and volunteer, and it's an intern actually, but telling what a day in their life is.
We sit down and answer messages, and we find that both rewarding and very difficult as well. Finding the right words is really difficult, but it's really rewarding because you get to be that voice of encouragement to people. So every day we
and you'll see here in her tweet, if you would, or her Instagram post, they have a hashtag with the organization's acronym and interns. And then also they tagged her so that it would show up in her Instagram feed, which would then ideally be seen by a whole new audience of this intern's friends, if you would. And then there's one more here that broadcasts the project. So the project here is digging up, again, referring back to the other case study I had found, digging up a water well. So you see here, 15 seconds of a video to showcase, what they're actually doing. So you're putting, again, the words to a visual, to an actual interactive visual, if you would, in the respect of sharing what they're actually working on in the field. So sharing your story is a lot of work, yes, and you can do it through a multitude of ways, through the website, through a blog, e-blast, videos, sharing, social media, YouTube. I've seen a couple of YouTube videos that some organizations have done as well. Though from the Digital Persuasion by Wagner Edstrom had done a survey, and after organizations had taken more of an effort in showing their actions on social media, the actions of donors and people who viewed them, 68% more were likely to donate money, 52% were likely to donate non-monetary items, as a clothing drive, a food drive, and whatnot. 53% were more likely to volunteer for that organization. 15% would actually organize an event. 43% would attend, participate in an event of the organization that may have already been planned. And then 40% might purchase a product to benefit that cause that they might be selling. So if you really take the time to engage and develop a story that you want to communicate through social media, through blogs, through emails, the results are here. Some key takeaways here that really were a summarized of all the research that I did look at and some case studies was that, actively engage your donors in your organization's mission in action by providing clear call of action or desired outcome. So again, not just, I want to raise $5,000 on Nepa Gives, a desired outcome that you have outside of Nepa Gives, whether it be related to COVID, related to coming out of COVID, whether it be related to supporting the mental health of people, whether it be supporting vaccinations, whatever. You want to make it bigger than that so they see it as more than just a dollar amount that you're trying to get out of them. Ask your constituents and supporters for their personal testimonials to drive supporter engagement. Again, the authenticity of hearing directly from people that either support your cause or that have been supported by your cause will go a far way. And remember, there are many ways to tell your story. So, don't try to tell your story in all these different ways and create social media and communication plans around having each one. And then lastly, some, checklists, if you would, as we talked about it and really got into the weeds of somewhat of the different types of storytelling and whatnot, is develop your perfect story. Again, there's many stories, there's many different ways to do it. Take some time and gather visual assets. There's visual assets all around you that you probably already have. Seek out champions. So again, actively engage your donors or those that support your organization, if you would. And create a clear call to action. Again, focus on the type of story you want to tell, whether it be explaining your founding of your organization, something that you're doing in the community that you want to call some action to. And then leverage social media as you saw in that Instagram post, you know, having an intern give an impact statement and then tagging her friends that will then share it, or her family will share it, really lets you leverage a whole new circle, if you would, that might even lead to a peer-to-peer fundraising page developed, or a new volunteer. You know, everything's not about the dollar, if you would, and about reaching that goal. If you per se get 5 new volunteers and one turns out to be a fundraising champion, or one turns out to be a board member. And then, of course, as always, you want to thank your supporters in whatever they do, especially in the time that we're at with all being virtual. You know, a little appreciation goes a long way, and I'm sure more people will then share those posts when you're thanking them through social media. These are some of the resources, and as I said, they are all linkable. So when I share out this presentation to you all that signed up today and all our registered participants, you will be able to click on each one of them. I didn't get a chance to look in the chat, but I did see one question come in about the story template of, let me go look. Yeah, has the tool template already been provided? So the tool template that we created as your NEPA Gives Toolkit is up on the page, and I will show you that after this and navigate it to you. But this Give Gab storytelling is actually the template. See if it lets me get it, because I'm already logged in. So this is an actually Give Gab designed one that is off the NEMO case study that has been done through a couple of different communication programs throughout the country. So that is there in the top one for you all. And then again, Dana and I are here to support your needs. If it's NEPA Gives related, if it's something we can help with in the community, if it's technically related, you know, let's say you want to add another administrator to your page because someone else is now going to help you. Or I know sometimes some organizations have different branches, if you would, and maybe the branch was identified wrongly in NEPA Gives as you're signing up. You'll want to go to the little chat blue bubble, and they will be able to help you directly with that kind of stuff, as we don't have back access information outside of your registration, the content that we asked for you when we developed the incentives and that. So the blue chat bubble will be a huge, huge help for you all. Our emails are here. And next month, while I will still be with you, our friends at Give Gab will be joining us. And from the first NEPA Give session, one of the top resources that people wanted more information on, per se, outside of my expertise of putting this all together for you, would be boosting your NEPA Gives goals. So Give Gab will be here to talk about peer-to-peer fundraising, board engagement, and then even telling your story for peer-to-peer engagement. They have a couple of different trainings that I will also share that other Giving Days have done specifically in using storytelling to increase peer-to-peer fundraising. So it will be April 14th at noon. Our friends at Give Gab will be joining us, and I will stop sharing my screen, and I will show you guys. If you go in menu, you could, Dana, you can see my screen, right? Shake your head. Okay. Sometimes I go on a new window and it doesn't show. So you'll go to the menu here. You'll go to Nonprofit Toolkit. And it's right here. So click this link. And then this is the Nepa Gives Toolkit that our team at the Scranton Area Foundation had put together for you all. And it goes in order of the trainings that we're offering. And again, the trainings are really more to help you with your capacity. As we know, you probably want to give your all and do a lot of research and find the best practices and learn some more. And that's what we're here for, to really streamline it for you. So if you're a visual person that you like to print it out and write, maybe the toolkit's for you. You know, if you're more of a listener, I'll share again here. We have all, I don't know where it is. Oh, trainings. We have all the trainings that we've done here. You know, so you could go back to the kickoff, to Are You Nepa Gives Ready, which is about your profile building. If you have a fund or a scholarship with us at the Scranton Area Foundation, or you know someone who does and would like to participate, this would be a good viewing for them. And then down here are the Giving Day training videos. So a lot of these videos is really where I start when I start developing these trainings that we have offered for you. And they're really quick, you know, 10-minute videos. They have slides, they have cheat sheets. And then what I do from here is I really ask our GiveGab team to direct me to maybe other successful giving days that we strive to be, that maybe are raising millions of dollars, and you know, what are their best practices and whatnot. So that's where all my information is found. And I want to make sure credit gets given to those that deserve it. So I will stop sharing. I did see the chat and then the Q&A. So thanks, Chris, for the great words of encouragement, the support, and great ideas to make it a success. That's what we're all here for. We will hopefully towards the end of May be having more of an open forum call. The YMCA of Scranton, I don't think Megan's on this call, but last year they did a great job unknowingly sharing videos from their board members about why they support the YMCA. So she'll join us. You know, we'll have other organizations such as Equines for Freedom joining us, that you can ask them direct questions, because all of my knowledge is based on the research side and not the practice side for you all. How do you add pictures to giving levels? So I can show you that real quick. That one is really easy. The one that you will want to actually use with GiveGab per se is within your story, you can put photos. So when I shared that, story about the dog organization, they actually had a picture within their story. So real quick, this is your donation. This is your Giving Day board. Everybody will have this when you log on. You're going to add donation levels. So if you add a donation level, and you'll also want to make sure that as you add administrators, they are going to see the same thing. So I made that point because I did not add these donation levels. A teammate did. So you want to make sure that you're either talking with them or you're not removing anything that they may have previously done. But you go down to add, you add your donation level of maybe $150. Then you add the description of what it is. You can select an image, and then you can go through whatever image wherever it is on your computer, and then you just save it. So it will be as simple as that, and then I'll remove that. So I'm not sure if anybody else has any other questions. Yes, so we'll clarify the give gab fees of, it's just as if you were a small business and you were charging a service, or selling a t-shirt, if you would. When you pay for that t-shirt, you're paying tax. And you're paying the tax to cover a couple different things, along with the transaction fee for that square if you paid with your credit card. So that 3% is really the transaction to process the credit card through GiveGab. And then, as someone had mentioned, the organization can actually absorb that, or the donor. And GiveGab statistics are about 98% of donors actually absorb that, because it's usually about $1 or $2. So, when they go to the end of their donation and they're confirming their credit card information, it will actually come up and say, would you like to cover the cost, which is $1 something? Most will click and say yes. If they don't, what happens is, at the end of your total raised, that fee will come out, as it would if you had a fundraiser that you did use PayPal or Venmo or your Square account. Yes, we will be sending the link to register for the April 14th training, ideally next week. We'll get that up and we'll get that set so that you can register for that. And we usually will send it out to those that are registered within your organization on GiveGab, along with our email blast list. So if you'd like to get on the SAF list, please feel free. Both Dana and my email were on there, and we'd be more than happy to check and also confirm that you're on there. So I'm just looking through. I hope that answered the questions about the transaction fee. And I think that's it of questions. I know we can always, yes, thanks, Chris. I know we can always enjoy getting a couple minutes back in our day. So if there's no other questions, I will stop the recording.